All right, good morning, trade pros. Welcome to our morning market update for Friday. Let me just hit record. Friday, May the 25th of 2018. This is George Papazov from Trade Pro Academy. Today, we're going to talk about a number of things. The new European legislation for privacy data. I'm very briefly going to skim over it because it is important to know about it. The second thing to talk about is oil and what's causing the price to crash over 2%. And what it could mean for the future. And then we're going to talk about this long weekend coming up and market closures in the schedule. All right, first and foremost, some key earnings. Best Buy is down 7% after online sales just absolutely got slumped. So much lower. Gap is down 7.7% as well after disappointing sales momentum. And you could start to see the retail stocks are getting battered a little bit because of this. And retailers are struggling to keep up with online sales. It's the Amazon effect. We also have TD Bank that came out with earnings pretty much flat. Equities here around the world. Let's take a quick little tour. In Japan, the stock market's up 0.1%. Hong Kong's down 0.6%. China's down 0.4%. And India is up 0.8%. So mixed markets here overnight in the Asian session. And in Europe at midday, London is up 0.2. Paris is up 0.6. Frankfurt's up 1.1%. Earlier on today in the U.S., Dow was up 0.3, S&P was up 0.3, and NASDAQ was up 0.4%. That momentum is quickly reversing into the open. Yesterday in our morning market update, we said the short side would be the right side early on in the morning. And if you just traded the short side, you did very well. There was a lot of opportunity to pay off on the downside as soon as Donald Trump made the announcement that he's canceling his meeting or his summit with North Korea. He sent out the letter. We gave that news around 9:42 a.m. By the time we heard about it from Bloomberg at 9:58, we'd already got paid on those trades twice. So that's the benefit of trading in an environment with other trade pros that do this professionally for a living. You're not in the corner of your room by yourself wondering what's happening. You're connected to the market. You're connected to a community who does this professionally and for a living. So that was really exciting. We actually even created a video about it. If you click on the link in the description, we have a video that shows how we live traded the North Korea news. It's really exciting if you want to have a look at it. Now, looking at today's prices for crude oil, down 2.6%, back inside of the 68 range, 68.83, which is absolutely crazy considering where we were just 2 days ago, trading high 72s or high 71s, mid to low 72s. So we kind of suspected oil would drop. In yesterday's trading room, we said, look out, this could be a really good short opportunity for oil because Russia made mention, Russia's oil minister Novak said, look, we don't know about this production cut agreement. We're actually potentially discussing about cutting back some of the supply or allowing the supply to increase, rather cutting back the production cap. And that made crude oil really nervous last night. Today it's confirmed. We'll talk about that in one moment. Gold prices are pretty much flat. Bitcoin's down another 2%, trading at 74.31. And on today's fixed income market overview, the 10-year treasury yield is back down below 3%, trading currently at 2.96, down 2 basis points. This morning at 9:20, we'll have Fed's Powell speaking on financial stability and central bank transparency. That's Fed's Powell. Jay Powell will be on the wire talking about that. 10 a.m., we got consumer confidence, or consumer sentiment, rather, being released. And then we got 3 Fed speakers at 11:45 a.m. Fed's Evans speech, Bostich, and Kaplan are all speaking at the exact same time. At around 11:45, just before noon, expect to hear a lot of squawks, a lot of data coming in from these Fed speakers. All right, 1 p.m., we have Baker Hughes rig count. That's going to indicate what kind of offshore drilling, what kind of oil production there's been from the United States. That's going to impact crude oil as well. All right, since we started with crude, let's just keep going with crude oil and why it's crashing, and then we'll cover the other 2 items afterwards. So OPEC and Russia, basically Saudi Arabia and Russian oil ministers met yesterday. All right, on June 22nd in Vienna, there's another oil meeting. This is between OPEC and non-OPEC producers. Remember, about 17 months ago, they came together and decided to limit the production, all right, limit the supply of crude oil. Therefore, that would help stabilize a then dropping crude oil market. Well, they've done their job. Crude oil's rallied a lot, and now they're going to meet again on June 22nd. This agreement was signed until the end of 2018, until December of 2018. But I've always said this, the higher that oil prices go, the higher likelihood of an early termination. It's just too much pressure for a company whose entire national budget is ran by oil to say we're not going to take advantage of these oil prices. They're going up. I have all this crude oil stockpiled, and I'm not going to sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue because I signed a piece of paper. All right, that increases the pressure on these oil producers to sell more of their oil on the open market, especially because during that entire time, guess who's been benefiting from this oil market? The United States. They said, all right, OPEC and non-OPEC producers, you guys go ahead and cap your production. We're going to go in there and fire up all our rigs and drill as much as we can offshore to supply the market because there's a need for it. So yesterday's meeting, early on, first of all, we got wind of Russia's oil energy minister Novak saying, this production cut agreement may not go to the end of its life that we've signed. As soon as we heard that, oil weakness was on. I mean, we played the upside of oil yesterday, but longer term, we knew that the outlook was going to be to the downside. We didn't expect it to drop this much in one day, but you know what they say, markets take the stairs up and the elevator down. It always goes much faster because there's more stops, more liquidity, and there's more fearful driven behavior. And fear is always a stronger emotion than greed on a 3-to-1 ratio. Never forget that. All right. So Russia and Saudi Arabia met yesterday and agreed that the production cut easing, or they're going to allow the entire collective of OPEC and non-OPEC producers that are under agreement to cap their production to provide $1 million more, 1 million barrels rather, not dollars, that's nothing, 1 million barrels per day more of supply. That supply coming in is going to actually scare the market. That's what spooked oil. That's what caused the oil price to sell off. And I'm sure at the beginning, the sell-off started a little bit slower, but like all markets that have been in a huge long trade for a long time, there's always big sell stops waiting below. That's stop losses from traders who were long. So we wiped out a bunch of stops. Our target for oil was 67.93. I kid you not, we've been talking about that for ages in our newsletters, and I also said 66 to 68 is a good resting ground for a pullback. Didn't expect it to happen in one swoop drop like that, but hey, the unexpected happens in the stock market. That's what's kind of driving some oil volatility. The next meeting is in Vienna on June 22nd. Expect to hear more news from OPEC and non-OPEC nations, oil ministers throughout the next couple weeks. You got to have a news wire in today's market, especially if you're trading oil. You don't need it so much for trading equity index futures, but if you're trading oil, you have to know the news. It moves the market and gives you great trading opportunities that you could catch even as the news is assimilated into the market. All right, usually news trading is a little bit of a mixed bag because by the time it's priced in, it's over. Not on oil. There's so much big money in oil. I was reading somewhere 85% of oil transactions are on a professional trader level. All right, it's got the smallest concentration of retail traders in that market, which means when these positions start to readjust or reshuffle their portfolio, there's big liquidity. This isn't 200 contracts. This is 100 contract iceberg orders plus. All right, on oil, 200, 300, 500 plus contracts on oil, and I've seen it happen. So look at the oil market. Keep tabs on it. We're going to a 3-day long weekend. On Monday, we have Memorial Day in the United States. All markets will be closed. Futures will trade early on in the morning. They close in the early afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern. I would not advise you trading. I know you're like, oh, it's a day off on Monday. It's a good chance for me to trade. No, it's not. That's not what the market moves like. That's the worst time to be trading. So Monday, if you're a futures trader, take the day off. We're taking it off. So Monday morning, we'll have a video. It won't be a morning market update. Heck, it might be. I don't know. We might take the Monday off, and we'll resume for sure on Tuesday at 9 a.m. All right, traders are getting ready to lighten some of their positions and reduce some of their exposure going into a long weekend. There's a lot of geopolitical events and tensions going on at the moment that they would probably want to reduce their position, not be exposed on a 3-day weekend. The problem is, even though Monday's open for futures trading, an institutional trader can't get off their size that they're trying to throw into the market or dump in a reduced liquidity, reduced volume atmosphere. It's just not possible. They need liquidity. They need a lot of a deep book, depth of market. What else? I got to tell you. Look for volatility today in the afternoon. In the morning, we'll get a little bit of volatility, but volatility will really pick up in the afternoon as we get close to that closing bell today. Europeans, privacy data regulation goes into effect today. It basically aims to protect the privacy of consumers in the United States. So any company doing business in Europe, I meant not the United States, any company worldwide doing business in Europe exposed to European clients is going to have to follow these rules as of today. And it basically just says that you have to have all the data, make efforts to protect the consumer data, and have it available upon request if they want it. It affects companies with 250 plus employees more so. The fines are absolutely enormous. 4% of a firm's worldwide annual revenue, or $20 million, whichever is higher. So imagine a company like Facebook getting slapped with a fine like that. It ain't going to be cheap. 4% of revenue. Not profit, revenue. That's absolutely nuts. It means if your business is only 4% margin, you're going to get wiped out by one EU regulation fine. And that's the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. So Europe, once again, acts first on these privacy data protection and privacy overall. And on that front, I wasn't going to talk about this. I don't know if you guys heard about this on Amazon. Amazon's little speaker, little creepy speaker thing that I've never liked. Personally, I mean, if you have it, great. I hope it's useful for you. It recorded a conversation of a family, a private conversation, and emailed it to one of their friends, the audio. And the friend calls the family and says, hey, you know what? Like, I just so you know, turn off all your devices because you're being recorded. And they're like, no, we're not. What are you talking about? I know it records us when we say, hey, Alexa. But other than that, it shouldn't. And she's like, well, I heard you guys talking about hardwood in your dinner conversation, like hardwood flooring or whatever it was. Me and my fiance were talking about that. And she's like, oh, it's a glitch. It's an interesting glitch. Here's a question that I got to ask. Glitch or not, why is Amazon sending audio recordings through email? Forget that it happened to the wrong person. That's not relevant. The relevant part is, why is Amazon's Alexa sending emails of recorded audio conversations? They do that in Europe. They're looking at a 4% fine on Amazon's top line revenue number. You do the math. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's morning market update. You guys have yourselves a great day. Remember, it's a 3-day weekend. I want to wish you guys the absolute best long weekend that you could have. Spend time with your family and loved ones. I appreciate you guys, and I'm really looking forward to an extra day off just to relax. It's been a marathon the last few weeks. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a little tired, but still excited and enthusiastic. And I'll be here for you guys as long as you're here as well. All right, that's all we got. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to turn around, open the trading room, set some levels, and do some trading for the last day of the week. Adios. Be careful. Enjoy your time with your friends, family, loved ones. And we'll see you here back on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Fresh and energized and ready to kill it again. Adios. Chair spin. Here we go. Oh, got caught in the cords. See you later. Did you hear about that Alexa thing, Victoria? Huh? You didn't hear that? Wow. It's pretty weird. I'll tell you in a second. All right, trade pros, let's open up the trading room. YouTube, have yourselves a great weekend.